He signed. Now he says the document can belong to whomever pays him $2 million cash.
After 3 years of one of the most complex and exhaustive investigations in history, head of the inquiry, Lord Fraser, named names.
The two accused are Abdelbaset Ali Mohmed al-Megrahi and Lamin Khalifah Fhima.
That the investigation has come to this conclusion is not a surprise. We are now actively considering what actions to take.
We have no evidence to implicate another country in this disaster.
I understand the investigation has revealed no evidence to support suggestion of involvement by other countries.
In the coming days, the President will be consulting closely with Prime Minister Major and other world leaders to fashion together a cooperative international response to this latest terrorist atrocity by Gaddafi's government.
Today marks a milestone in the nearly 3 years of unresolved grief and unrelenting persistence to find the truth. Today, we call upon the political powers of all civilized nations to send a strong and unequivocal message to Libya and all states that aid, abet, harbor, sponsor, and support terrorist activities, that they will no longer be tolerated in the world community.
وجاءت وصلت بذهول كبير لما سمعت اسمي، والحقيقة حتى اتهام بلدي كان مفاجأة كبيرة لي، وهذا خلاني أنا تعبت أنا وعائلتي بصراحة تعبت بشكل كبير.
أنا لا نرى تواجدي في مالطا كانت فرصة لي بأن أقوم بعمل إرهابي مثل هذا الذي يتهموني به. فعلاقاتي داخل مالطا معروفة، ويمكن لأي شخص أنه هو يسأل علي.
I know him. I know he will never hurt a fly. But it was a shock that it was put on him. They put his name, you know. You can't believe it.
I don't really believe it that he done it, you know. Not even all the Maltese that knew him never believed that he did it.
It was unbelievable. I mean, everybody, they had the same opinion in a way. You know, he's not such a person.
He's so soft that they give him a nickname, the egg, you know, Dahya. That means he's very, very soft.
وأنا ليست لدي إجابة على ذلك لأني مستغرب ماذا أريد أن أقول. دولة اتهمتني باطلا، أنا لا أعرف الأسباب، أنا لو كنت أعرفها لذكرتها لكم.
The Roman theatre in Sabarata, Libya, pocked and sandblasted, in its splendor when Africa provided the grain for Rome, and a Libyan, Septimus Severus, was Roman emperor, 1,500 years before the birth of the American Republic. Two Libyans, cast without ever auditioning, have now become players in a new play with a very old plot. White hats and black hats. The play goes like this. Basset Maghrabi, terrorist one, a frequent traveler in his work for Libyan Arab Airlines, always using his own passport, arrives in Malta and using a false passport checks into the Holiday Inn, one of the only two luxury hotels in Sailima not owned by Libya.
هم يتصورون أنني أستعمل اسم مزور، ولكن سوف في المحكمة سوف تكون هناك إجابة واضحة لهذا الموضوع يعني.
In the meantime, second terrorist Lamin Fhima is rigging a bomb in the Libyan Arab Airlines office. Could it be this office? Or perhaps this one? Using Semtex he has stored there amongst the Libyan, Maltese and other employees, and of course, Mr. Bollier's device.
أنا لا تدخل يعني عقلي أن نستعمل متفجرات أو نقوم بتخزينها داخل مكتب من مكاتب خطوط طيران داخل المطار.
هذا المكتب يشتغلوا فيه ليبيين ومالطيين، فكيف يمكن وضع مادة زي هذه خطيرة جدا في هذا المكتب، وكيف يمكن السكوت عنها إذا كان راها أي حد منا.
When the Great War fleets docked in Malta, the warship tenders would unload sailors looking for what every sailor seeks at the foot of this Silima street. Now shoppers look for other kinds of cheap deals.
What was more valuable than the suitcase and the tracing of the suitcase were the clothes in that suitcase. There were some baby clothes. There was an umbrella. There were different items that were not really consistent with having come from this one suitcase. You know, you figure a suitcase from a man who was owned by a man would have just men's clothes in there. Here was a suitcase that had several different items in there, from babies to adults to casual items. It turned out that apparently, as I recall, that one of the items of clothing, not to be specific, was traced, as a suitcase might have been.
Bomb-damaged clothes made in Malta had been found in the Pan Am 103 debris, so secret agent Megrahi must have scrambled up and down this shopping street from shop to shop, finally buying baby clothes, pants in different sizes, an umbrella at Mary's house. Tony Gauci and Paul Gauci, the brother owners. Megrahi, truly incognito, not as lucky as Dalkameni and Krisat in Neuss, had not been filmed. So over 2 years, Tony will make 18 separate statements, Paul 4 to the FBI and Scottish police, as they try to get the brothers to identify the clothes buyer. 50 years old, 6 feet, hefty, full hair, had been there before, had been there again, had been there once, had seen him in a bar several months later. The baby clothes had a sheep's head, no, an entire lamb embroidered. I will sign, though I do not read English. 20 years older than the photo fit. Similar, but not identical. Maybe, perhaps, like him, but not fully like him. Like the man in the Sunday Times. Lamin Fhima then steals Air Malta luggage tags, after duly noting the English word in his diary.
أول شيء أنا فترة الحادثة لم أكن أشتغل داخل المطار حسب ما هي الصورة واضحة أمام العالم. بالنسبة للتاجز موجودة بطاقات الشنط موجودة في المطارات بشكل لست أنا الوحيد اللي ممكن نصل إليها. قد يصل لها أي شخص آخر أو من السهل. بل موجودة في جميع مكاتب الخطوط الليبية. لماذا لا يقولوا بأنها هي سرقت من داخل مكتب الخطوط الليبية في مالطا في ليبيا.
And then arranges for an unaccompanied bag full of the medley of Maltese clothes and the bomb to be put unaccompanied on an Air Malta flight. The bag going through 3 airport security systems, traveling through a European winter with unpredictable flight delays, the explosion capable of occurring anywhere on Pan Am 103, in the air, over land or sea, even in the airport. Our play began as a tragedy. Has it now become a comedy? With 2 stooges, not 3?
If a device had been infiltrated into the system at Malta, it would have been necessary for that device to have been carried in an aircraft on the sector from Malta to Frankfurt, to have gone through a handling process, been carried on an aircraft for the sector from Frankfurt to Heathrow, and then timed to detonate during the final sector, Heathrow to New York, presumably whilst the aircraft was over the ocean to avoid discovery, forensic evidence. And one has to say, are terrorists idiots? Don't terrorists plan to have a reasonable degree of success of doing it? We looked at something else, and it's a matter of public record of the bomb-making activities and the group that had been active in Germany, in Neuss at the time. There's all the publicity, the documentation of that. So we had to consider, do you think it's likely that a terrorist group that has managed to manufacture a very sophisticated device in Germany, are they going to move it somewhere else and then send it on its way back to Germany?
I went to Frankfurt Airport 23rd of January 1989 to look for documents in relation to the preparation of Flight 103 from Frankfurt to London, in particularly the cargo and baggage loading plan, who was responsible for loading the plane and what the duties were. But these documents were missing from the daily file.
The records at Frankfurt, they were by no means complete. One was not able to get hold of the detailed records. Particularly that concerned me was there was no record as to who unloaded that flight KM180 when it arrived at Frankfurt. We don't know who the loaders were. There was no record of the number of bags that were actually unloaded from that flight. There were no records that I could find.
If the original documents had been taken by the authorities, and by that I mean the police, then it would be normal practice for a copy to be retained in the Pan Am file.
In 1993, Air Malta wins its libel suit against Granada Television. Granada, in a docudrama, had claimed the bomb had been placed in an unaccompanied bag on an Air Malta flight.
But Malta, the records of the handling of that flight, KM180, were made available for me to see. There was no evidence of any unaccompanied bags. All of the bags that were carried as passenger baggage on that flight had been checked in by a passenger who actually travelled on the flight.
When, in October 1989, the FBI visited Frankfurt Airport, the agent sent back this telex to Washington. No evidence of any bag transferred from an Air Malta flight. The only evidence showing a transfer bag, a computer printout used to prepare this German police report. An airport employee, Mrs. Erak, claims to have stored in her locker a copy printed off the destroyed original computer tape.
The computer printout does not say where the bag came from. They try to tie that bag to KM180 from the worksheet, which was maintained. And as we found, the worksheet is completely unreliable. And in any case, even if you accept that the worksheet was approximately right, we have nobody that can account for or was in charge of or can tell us who or how those bags came from the actual aircraft, KM180, to that coding station. And for more than 1 kilometre, and while they were in there waiting, those bags were under nobody's control or supervision. They were not counted. We don't know how many should be there, and it would have been possible to put another bag in there along any of that route or at any time.
I've never seen any documentation whatsoever produced by Pan Am or anybody else to show there was any interline baggage from the Air Malta flight on the 21st of December 1988.
What I can tell you is that both the Fhima and Megrahi are members of the Libyan intelligence service. They were undercover as employees of Libyan Arab Airways, but they are in actuality members of the Libyan intelligence service.
أنا منذ صغري لا أنا ولا أحد من عائلتي والحمد لله أنهم دخلوا في مجال سياسي أو مجال أمني داخل الدولة الليبية، ولا عمري أنا فكرت في حياتي بأن أكون يعني عملي غير المدني. دائما اشتغلت في الخطوط ودائما ولا زلت إن شاء الله أملي أن أشتغل في الخطوط.
تميت دورة الترحيل الجوي في نيويورك وتحصلت على الFAA لايسنس من الأمريكية. لما تحصلت عليها كنت في ذلك الوقت كان عمري في ذلك الوقت أقل من العمر المصرح به أن نأخذ لايسنس أمريكية.
And in this, As in every spy story, especially in Malta, proverbial land of the Double Cross, there is a Secret Service defector, a Mr. Jaika, with lots of cash, girls, and whiskey.
The only thing I can tell you about this particular person is he is a former member of the Libyan intelligence service who has defected to the United States, and he is now in the witness protection program of the Department of Justice. So he would be used in a trial of Fhima and Megrahi were the Libyan government ever to release these two for trial, either in the United Kingdom or in the United States.
السيد جاكا وكان يشتغل في محطة مالطا، من ضمن الطاقم يشتغل في محطة مالطا. كان هو مسؤول الأمن والسلامة في محطة مالطا. أنا الشيء الذي أعرفه عنه أنه كان الشخص مكروه من العاملين.
وكل ما أستطيع أن أتحدث عليه بأنه هو شخص يعني كان سيء الأخلاق مع سواء الموظفين اللي كانوا يشتغلوا معانا، سواء معاملته للركاب، سواء السلطات المالطية نفسها داخل المطار تعرف الكلام هذا يعني.
He used to come here with the Libyan Arab Airlines crew or the guests that the passengers that they have to stay night over here, and the way of dealing with us wasn't correct. To the point, once I remember I had to report him to his office here, the representative of the Libyan Arab Airlines.
He used to ask a lot of money here. You know, he used to bring sometimes the crew of the Libyan Arab Airlines here, which this crew, they have some allowance, which we had the orders to issue this allowance to them. Well, as a representative, he had the authorized signature to give them the allowances, you know, and sometimes we used to hand it to him, and the crew wasn't there.
There's no doubt. I mean, if he doesn't give them to the staff, the crew, then he must have kept them.
They asked him to return back to Libya because his contract finished or he's staying in Malta. So after a few days he came here to the hotel and he had a plaster in his hand, you know. So what's wrong? I mean, he said, oh, I just fell from the stairs, and apparently he made this to get an extension, another 3 or 4 months to stay here.
The fact that they have, in the face of UN sanctions that are fairly onerous for them, refused to release either one of them for a trial in a Western court of law indicates that they have something to be concerned about if they were to appear free of any kind of pressure from the Libyan government. So I don't think if they haven't done it up to the present time, they certainly have no intentions of doing it in the future.
فأنا أريد أن تكون هناك محاكمة، ولكن أريدها محاكمة عادلة، محاكمة في بلد ليس هو الخصم وهو الحكم في نفس الوقت، بلد محايد يستطيع أن يأخذ كل الحقائق المطروحة ويحكم. أنا واثق من براءتي، واثق من براءة بلدي. أنا أريد الحقيقة أن تطلع لأني أريد أن يعرف الجميع أنني بريء.
هذه هي حقوق الإنسان. عندما يرغم إنسان على المثول أمام محكمة معادلة يرفض المثول أمامها. هذه هي حقوق الإنسان. عندما تفرض العقوبات على دولة لكي تتنازل عن حماية مواطنيها وتدوس على حقوقهم الإنسانية، هذه هي حقوق الإنسان. نحن لسنا أطفال، نحن لسنا سذج حتى نصدق ترهات الغرب وتصدقه الفارق الذي لا معنى له بحقوق الإنسان.
توقع تهديد ليبيا وضربها لنا كحجة بموضوع لوكربي، كحجة لا أكثر ولا أقل. نتوقع كل شيء يديروه ضد ال 86. نتوقع ماذا ما حدث في 86.
والشعب الليبي بريء من هذه التهمة، واحنا نرفض التسليم.
الحقيقة ما نتوقعش تسليمهم، ونعارض حتى لو أنهم هم طلبوا تسليم أنفسهم بأنفسهم.
منذ سماعي إعلان اسمي في الإذاعات لازلت أتذكر بأن سمعتها يوم الأربعاء بالمساء. الخميس حاولت الاتصال بمركز الشرطة التابع لمنطقتي، ولكن كان ليس لديهم أي إجراءات معينة. فأنا شخصيا اللي سلمت نفسي للسلطات الليبية.
يعتقدون أن بالحصار والتهديد وبالإرهاب الرسمي يعتقدون أن الشعب الليبي سيتنازل عن ابنائه وعن قانونه الوطني وعن سيادته وعن حقه في الحرية. هذه إهانة أيها الأخوة إذا تنازلنا عن أبنائنا، إذا تنازلنا عن قانوننا الوطني. هذه إهانة، إهانة موجهة لنا جميعا، لآبائنا وأجدادنا الشهداء والأبطال.